you take your entire business to another level. It opens up doors to you, and we're going to go through that. We're going to be sharing with you through our education how and why you need to create a power team. What is a power team? Charlie, what's a power team?
It's a team where you don't have to do all the work. You get other people to specialize in certain areas that they can do this.
So leveraging the skills and the resources of other people, right? Is a power team a business partner? Could be. Could it also be your attorneys, your accountants, CPAs, your bookkeepers, your assistants, your investor agents? All of these people are part of your team, correct? How to locate the right deals. This is always one of the biggest questions that we get. And there's two ways of locating a right deal. It's not a one-size-fits-all. You can locate deals as an agent, but guess what? You can also locate deals as an investor. We're going to share with you how to bring all of those together, how to marry them so that you can do both. How do you analyze these deals for profit? Do you think if you are buying a home as a primary residence that you're going to look at it a little bit differently than if you're looking at a 2 to 4 to 100 unit for cash flow and NOI? Are you going to analyze it differently? What if you're a buyer and you contact an investor agent, say you want to buy this 10 unit, and that agent doesn't understand what cash on cash return is, what debt service coverage ratio is? Don't you think as a buyer of a multi-unit that you need an agent that understands what it is that you're looking for? Absolutely. How do you fund the deals? I would say this is without a shadow of a doubt the number one question that we always get asked. There's many ways to get deals funded. Again, this entire business is relationship based. And then in working with an investor agent, let's say that you're buying or acquiring your first rehab. Gary, you said you're working on your first rehab?
No, I worked on a lot of rehabs.
You worked on a lot of rehabs?
Yeah.
Is your rehab budgets today totally different than when you first started?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sid, as a general contractor, obviously you and Brickfront Properties have the ability to help investor agents that work with us how to understand, analyze, how to put together rehab budgets. Do you think that a deal could go south if you underestimate the budget on a rehab?
Sure.
It's happened. You know, what are those contingency plans? How to buy it right? What is wholesaling? How do you wholesale? Gary just said, I want my exit strategy was to wholesale it. Is there anything I could have done differently? What is a joint venture versus doing a partnership? How do you deal with property management, asset management? How do you know how to hire the right contractors and avoiding all of the different types of pitfalls? Do you think that these are things that agents and investors deal with on a daily basis? Yes. As an investor agent, we are going to provide you with all of the education on both sides as an investor and an agent through Next Stage Realty and District RIA. You have to be able to understand the true numbers. The purchase price, the cost of the rehab, total cost to the investor, the selling price, holding closing costs, 6% investor agent commission, the investor's net profit. I'm going to show you a couple transactions where as an agent, you can, and as an investor, you can actually locate the property. You get the commission on the buying side, okay? Then you rehab the property. You put the property on the market because that's your exit strategy. You're the listing agent. Now you get a commission on the end, and you get the profit as an investor. It's a very, very, very sweet deal, and there's no other way that you can do that except by being an investor agent. Was there a question?
Can you go back to yours again?
Sure. As an investor and as an agent and as a multi-unit property owner, one of the ways that I learned when I first got into this business, I think Sid is probably the same way. A lot of investors are are type A personality, right-brained individuals, and so we learn visually. Anybody else like that? What about if anybody else gotta touch it, see it, feel it, get into it to understand it, right? That's me. And I thought there was something wrong with me in the early days because I could listen to the CDs, I could read the books, you know, I turned my car into real estate university on wheels, but I found I learned more by being on site at a property hands-on. So when we got the opportunity to become educators and to present this type of information to you, we knew the power of being in the field, being able to see a before house and understanding what it took to turn it into the after photo on the right. What did he do? What was going through his mind? What was he thinking? Because when I look at this photo, it doesn't look like the actual structure or design of that kitchen changed, but look at the vast difference of it. How do you do that? How do you see that? How do you know when you walk into a house as an investor and you happen to be an agent that this is the house you want to buy, that you're going to flip and hold, that you're going to rehab and flip, or that you're going to buy and hold and put a tenant in there? Are you going to do the same type of a rehab on a buy and hold as you are on a flip and sell? How do you know all of this? We're going to be sharing all that with you. Do you want to say something?
No,
I have a question.
Yes, Denise.
Wouldn't it be more valuable to use the cabinets that go all the way to the ceiling?
not necessarily. You gotta look at the
Most
neighborhood.
people can't even reach
Yeah,
those.
can't, exactly.
41-inch cabinets, it's a lot more cost.
Not for a flip.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
Staging. How many of you in here that are investors that are rehabbing stage your homes? Does anybody in here believe that staging is not essential, or it's not important, or that you don't need to do it? This is actually an apartment building in Baltimore that I own. It's a rental. And Prancella staged this home as a rental. Some people only stage their homes just for rehab and sell. But if you're trying to get your property occupied as a buy and hold, and you want to stage it to be able to get the maximum amount of cash flow into it, whether you're staging for sell or whether you're staging for rent, we have the people and the resources to teach you how to do that. This is another area of real estate a lot of people don't take seriously. We're going to share with you how to be able to do that.
What kind of floor is that?
That was commercial grade floor. We don't have any carpet.
Concrete?
No, it's commercial grade tile over top of concrete that was high buffed to a gloss. Turn your knowledge into power and profit by becoming an investor agent. The Deal Makers Academy is through District RIA. District RIA, where you are here today, we are going to be providing you with a tremendous amount of different education. We have combined our resources with SID, with Next Stage Realty and Brickfront Properties. We have been working very, very hard to put together all different types of modules. And how many do we have? 39, 41? 40 different modules that we're going to be sharing with you and doing classes on in the new year. Receive up to $10,000 per deal. How in the world would anybody be able to do that? You can become the go-to wholesaler. There's one person in particular that comes to mind, Paul Lewis. Paul Lewis is in the DC area. He really struggled in the early years, a couple years ago. He wanted nothing more than to be a wholesaler. He kept at it, he kept at it. I believe he got his license, and now he is the go-to wholesaler in DC. He has a very, very strong VIP buyers list, but he also uses his agent's license as a tool and a resource to help him locate deals immediately upon coming on the MLS. And if you're not an agent, you're not going to have the tools and the resources to be able to get onto the MLS. I will tell you, this type of program that we're doing, there is no other program of its kind in the country. This is something that we put together. We're very excited about it. And we're really proud of the individuals that we're working on. Lynn signed up, and How, 1 week, 2 weeks, you got your license?
3.
In 3 weeks, got his license. And he is definitely on the road to some really, really wonderful things. Dorothy up front is also an investor agent who joined our program, and she's really excited about a lot of the things that she's been working on, both on a personal level and with her business. And the education is absolutely phenomenal with the different areas of real estate that we're going to be able to take you by. Guys, we believe in going step by step. We believe you've got to have field instruction, classroom instruction. You will be signed on with a personal mentor. Anisha, who is sitting up here in the front, who works with Sid at Next Stage Realty, oversees you actually working one-on-one with a personal mentor as an agent to help take you through the process and facilitate the step-by-step of what you need to do. Not to mention, you're going to get all of the different tools and resources and education and membership benefits by being with District RIA. You're going to get unlimited support, extensive training. We're very, very results oriented and it's success driven. One of the very first thing that you're going to be doing with Sid and his team is sitting down and actually going over a very, very detailed strategic business plan for you. What do you want? What are you doing? Where are you going? We need to know where you're going so that we know how to support you to get there. Anybody in the room have a business plan for 2013 already completed? You do? Written or up in your head?
Not ready.
Yeah? Anybody else? One of the things that I've done for many, many years, and I still do it to this day, is on January 1st, I take 2 hours in total silence and I struct my goals, my dreams, my desires, and review my business plan for 2013. Does life change? Do things change in our life from day to day? Do you think the same business plan from 2012 might be the same business plan that you need for 2013? We get that. That's why we're going to be sitting down with you to find out where you are, so we know how to help support you to take you there. This is Angela Williams, an investor agent, 4003 Oak Lawn Road, Fort Washington, Maryland. These are all recent deals. Purchase price was $185, total commission $11,000. Just by being an investor agent on this transaction, she walked away with a $55.50 check. Not bad. Just for being an investor agent. She used her agent resources on this one. Here's the HUD one. Total real estate brokerage fees, $11,100. It was a 50-50 split to Next Stage First Realty and OT Claggett. Settlement date was May 29th of 2012. You all know this guy. Looks a little bit different, but he is out in the field, probably at one of his rehabs, working with a student. Right?
As a buyer, who's gonna buy the house?
Oh, that was a buyer. Okay, fantastic. So, what ended up being the end result on this? Did that gentleman actually buy this house?
No, I ended up selling to somebody else.
You ended up selling it to somebody else. Awesome. What did you buy it for?
That one was for $91,000.
And you sold it for?
That one, I think we ended up selling that one for like $259,
Oh,
$265.
so a small profit.
Yeah.
Oh. How many of you have joined us on our bus tours? How many of you would like to do a couple bus tours with us in the new year? How many of you would like to see residential and multi-unit? How many of you would like to see the dirty down, nasty, they smell so good of money, to the fully staged, fully rehabbed, and all of the in-between? Anybody like to learn how to do all that? All right? All of the documents, all of the forms, all of the spreadsheets, all of the checklists, do you think they've already been created? Do you think you need to reinvent the wheel to create checklists and categories and spreadsheets? A lot of investors do that when they're getting started because it fills up the busy time and they think they're being an investor by filling up that busy time with doing stuff that has already been created. As an investor agent, as a member of District RIA, working with Sid and Andre and I, You're going to have access to all the forms, checklists, resources, spreadsheets that you could possibly need residentially and commercially. All the different analyzing spreadsheets. Sid obviously is going to have all the board contracts, and what's wonderful today with technology, used to be when I was an agent, I had to go back to the back of the room, I had to drive to the office, I had to pull 3-part carbon copy forms out, drive to the buyer's house or the seller's house, sit down with them, and it was wonderful because we built relationships. But now today, everything can be done online. You can download the forms, you can fill the forms in online, you can then turn around and email them straight to the buyer or to the agent or to the bank or whoever. They even have the digital sign where you can have digital signatures. It has become so remote in such an incredible way. We obviously have all of that technology. A couple weeks ago, we did a class on how to find foreclosures. Sid is one of the very few with Next Stage Realty that actually has the keys to the city, meaning he has the ability to get into the HUD homes. If HUD homes is a niche in an area that you want to get into, you have to have certain credentials, certificates to be able to get into a HUD home, even to be able to get onto their website to bid, and we have that access that would be available to you. Needless to say, Sid and his team get a lot of leads, a lot of deals that come their way, and they want to be able to support you and help you. You're going to get inside deals and information that will be put into your lap. As Denise said, sometimes people think it's going to fall into their lap. There are times where deals are going to be presented to you. It's going to be up to you to follow up, and do what you need to do to try to bring that deal into fruition. We are always on the cutting edge with our education, bringing you everything that we possibly can to take you to the next level. We have local subject matter experts, national speakers, national experts. We also have brought in our team of our attorneys, our CPAs, our accountants, our bookkeepers, people that are on our power team that help take our business to the next level. You're also going to get full district area membership, which allows you to attend all of our different events for free, and all of the different monthly networking events. Just as Tom Black said, one of our very good friends who is an investor agent, in all my years as an investor and as an agent, I've never seen anything like this. There is no such program that offers all of this. The investor agent mentoring is for 6 months. Within 6 months, you should be able to absolutely get up and get on your feet. As we said, you're going to have unlimited support. Your first 3 transactions, we will hold your hand all the way through, right?
Yes.
We will hold your hand and take you all the way through that transaction, step by step. You're going to get an online and hard copy of the complete library of the forms, contracts, and documents that you could possibly need to get this done. And it's okay if you raise your hand on this next question. How many of you would benefit if you had some hand holding? Right?
That's it? Is that it?
You know, sometimes I can share with you that not wanting to look like a new investor, we go about doing things, and it isn't until after the fact that we, should I say, get ourselves into a little bit of trouble, that we then call our attorneys and our CPAs. Guys, we're there to truly support you and help you get to the next level and share with you, honestly, some of the mistakes that we've made, some of the things that we've done, contingencies we've had to get ourselves into to be able to get out of different types of situations. And more importantly, we have local offices. How many more offices are you guys going to be opening up?
Well, we're going to open one up in Glen Burnie and one in Baltimore County. It's
Oh.
hopefully next year.
But right now, we have offices where?
Right now, there's 4. There's one in Bethesda, there's one in Falls Church, there's one in Woodbridge, and then there's the one in Largo, Maryland.
And they can go to any office if they're in that area doing a transaction. In fact, with Next Stage, it's also on a national
Right, so
level.
Next Stage is the company has a total of 117 locations in the United States with over 3,200 active agents. So you can do business all over the U.S. So the way our model is structured is if you have a family member in a different state, you can call the next stage office there and say, hey, I have so-and-so coming in town, wants to look at a house, and you can also get paid as a referral fee. So there's all these locations they were in, and we're actually going into China as well. So the owners are working on that. The owners of Next Stage came from Century 21. They had been in the business for a very long time. They left Century 21 and they actually established this company called Next Age, First Realty. The company's about 4 years old. It's headquartered in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia.
And what's exciting about this company is they are the next age of investing and in real estate. They get where we're going, they totally support us. We have tools and resources that most other types of brokerages don't have. Okay, there's a whole entire back end office that they're gonna get educated on,
Right.
that they have the ability to tap into. All right, this was one of the properties that I actually did back when I was still doing single-family rehab flips. This was in Alexandria. It was a short sale, had an after-repair value of $419. I was able to get the commission on the buy side, purchased it for $150. We put $80 into it, sold it for $400. I then turned around and listed it as the agent, got a $12,000 commission plus a $100,000 profit as the investor on the rehab of the property. So it is really, really awesome to be able to utilize that tool of being an investor agent, especially when you're out there on the streets investing in yourself. But I can share with you, this is probably my most exciting journey. She actually is in the room, and I am going to call her out, but I'm going to tell you about the property first. Because I told her I was going to call her out. This was her first acquisition. So do you think she was scared?
That's a yes.
Oh,
Yeah, is that a yes? Not only was it her first acquisition, it's a 4-unit. So 4 times the rehab, 4 times everything, right? Do you think that added a little bit more fear into it? And it's 100% vacant. Does that add a little bit more fear into it? How many of you would have done this deal? Seriously. With all of those fears, how many of you would have taken this on and jumped into it? Well, here's why. ARV 260, I actually think it's a little bit higher. List price on February 2012 was $229. This was an REO. Bank had it at $229. In August, this individual did the most ultimate thing that any investor could ever do, but she educated herself, she put herself into a position to be able to do it. She fired her employer in August and said, now what? Within 1 to 2 days of her firing her employer, the broker, the realtor, calls her and says, hey, guess what? Remember that property? Well, it's been reduced down to $89,900. Do you think the bank's motivated?
Mm-hmm.
Offered $85,000. Went through the whole entire inspections. I said, look, there's a little bit of, brought out a structural engineer. The structural engineer said some of the plywood is not good. This calls for a structural issue, even though it was only plywood that was wet. So literally was able to go back and negotiate after the realtor and everybody else said they'll never give you a discount, they'll never give you a credit, the bank will never do that, never, never, never. And I said, put it in, put it in, put it in, and shut up. Put it in for $10,000, the bank met her halfway. Why? Because it was a structural issue and she had a report. That report only cost her $300 to get. All it was wet plywood. Okay, but she got another $5,000 off. That's a lot of creative deal structuring that we can share with you through experience that you normally wouldn't ever thought about. The realtor kept telling her, no, 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 it won't happen. They'll never do it. Guess what? They did it. Total ratified sales price, $80,000, $4,000 in closing, $50,000 on the rehab. I think it took a total of 4 weeks to rehab. She's in the process right now of getting tenants in there. spent a couple weeks trying to get tenants, finally realized this past weekend it wasn't enough. We've been going back and forth on it. She just staged it. And it is a long-term buy and hold that will bring her upwards, if not more, starting out of $32,000 a year. Debbie, please stand up, guys. This is what your first deal can look like. Stand up. And I'm working with her to help her understand, as an investor, if she were to have an agent license, she could have gotten the commissions on this. But what's beautiful is that the relationship that she does have with the agent, she just called me 2 days ago and told me that another deal that she had looked at, that agent called her up and said, hey, guess what? Property's back in play. I think you need to come take a look at it. I don't know what the outcome is. I'm dying to hear about it. Okay? Being an agent as an investor is a huge power tool that you need in your tool belt. Is it going to take some time? Yes. Do you have to invest in your education? Yes. Do you have to learn new systems, new ways of thinking? Yes. Andre?
Why don't you have Debbie come up and share some of her own thoughts on the deal and education process to doing the deal. Go ahead, Debbie.
Come on.
You remember being in this chair 2 years ago.
Oh my God. They could have said it all to me back up here.
Wasn't Tammy, it was me. You can blame me later.
I will. What can I say
How'd you
about
find it?
Okay, thank you. So, I said, I gotta shoot it get off the pot. I need to, start doing something, and I was a DOJ contractor, IT, and, I knew my contract was coming to the end, and I could go find another contract, or I could go out there and start doing something different, and I wanted to do something different. So I cruised and sent out a whole bunch of emails to a lot of different listings that were on LoopNet. And one of the places that I went and looked at was in Richmond. The agent that I had contacted, we went back and forth on this one deal and put an offer in, and it didn't quite work out. That one is actually coming back in play. So I kind of walked away from that one, and he gave me a whole bunch of other listings. What wasn't there, the price was reduced down to $89.9. I had seen it at $110, and I had put an offer in, and then he says, oh, well, it's a bank foreclosure, and you need to put in all this different paperwork, and, crap got tied up at work, and I was on this one of these, death march projects, and I just didn't have the time. Well, then he called me back and he said, hey, the price got reduced a little bit, and I was like, I'm putting it in. So that's how it started.
What was the rehab easy? You don't need to go into details. Was it easy?
No.
Was it what you thought?
No.
Did you learn a lot?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Did you inadvertently build strange relationships, or did you inadvertently build relationships in the real estate business with total strangers that you didn't know you had relationships with before?
Absolutely. The realtor that helped me out, I called him up one day and I was like, man, my budget's all jacked up. I need to get a couple furnaces. I called up all of these furnace heater people who, I don't know, they just saw dollar signs on my head, and I just, was not going to be able to do it. And so he says, you should call this one guy. He owns all kinds of properties in Richmond. He has his own construction company. Give him a call. And so I sat on that for a day. I'm like, why is he going to help me out? I'm his competition. I did, yeah. Yeah. So I called him, and I said, hey, you don't know me from Adam, but Nat told me to call you, and this is my situation, and I need, a furnace or two. I don't know how many I need. I might need 4, hopefully only 2. And he says, no problem, call this guy. And he just handed me the number. He hadn't seen me, he had known me, and he just, handed me this number. And I was, oh, okay. So I called this guy. This guy is absolutely great. He came in, he gave me furnaces within my budget. He looked and got the other 2 up and running, so I didn't have to replace those other 2. As a
But
matter of fact.
how many different furnace estimates did we get?
Oh my God.
4,
5.
and the range was like out of control.
It was
out
way
of
beyond
control.
what I was going to be able to suck down.
And what you did it. We held hands the whole entire way through this transaction. okay, the whole entire way. But what did you
I
just?
burned up her phone, I swear.
What did you just say to me the other day on the phone about going into the next deal, number 2? Remember?
I don't remember, I talked a lot.
I feel
That's right, I feel so prepared now because
And
of all the
confident.
lessons that I learned in this one that, you know, I'm ready. I feel